In schools, there are some rules, regulations. Like everywhere in any offices or any formal places, there are rules and regulations. In our homes, also some rules and regulations, and we have to maintain and obey all the rules. In a similar way, to maintain, run a government, to run a country, there is a rule needed. There is a rule book needed. So this rule book, in the sense we can tell that the rule book is referred as the Constitution. The Constitution of India. Here the Constitution of India means the rule books by which the Indian government or the country of India or the state of India is governed. The rule book is called the Constitution. So India has a constitution, like most of the democratic countries have their own constitution. Similar way, India also has a constitution. Today we are going to study the framing of constitution. Today we are going to study the important features of our constitution. At first, before going to study the features of constitution, let's first discuss about the date of the constitution, when it is started, and who was the main persons behind the formation of the constitution. As you know, India gained independence in 1947, 15 August. But to run a large country, a huge country, and as you know, India has a diversity in the field of religion, caste, language, and all the various fields. So we need a strict rules or rule books or constitution. So for making the constitution, there are so many committees were formed, but the most important committee of the formation of the constitution or the behind the formation of the constitution was the drafting committee. There are 7 members in the drafting committee. There are 7 members in the drafting committees, and the main chairman of the drafting committees were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. As we can say, the father of the Indian Constitution was called the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He was regarded as the father of the Indian Constitution, because he was the main person behind the formation of the Indian Constitution. So the main committee was the drafting committee behind the formation of the Constitution of India, and there are 7 members, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. Constitution, and the drafting committee gave the draft of the Indian Constitution to the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly, today we are called the Parliament. At the time, it was regarded as the Constituent Assembly. The drafting committee gave the draft of the Constitution, which was headed by the B.R. Ambedkar. They gave it to the Constituent Assembly, and it was enacted or adopted by the Constituent Assembly, and the Constitution and the draft of the Constitution was enacted or adopted or accepted, we can say, by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949. And after 2 months, in 1950, 26 January, the Constitution came into force or came into work. Here, there is a most important thing, is a difference where most of the students get confused, is the date of enacted and date of came into force. What is the difference between the enacted and the came into force? Suppose, give an example, this is a pen which I am going to give you today. Today is the date of 26th March and 2023. You take this pen, you took the pen and kept the pen in your pencil box or pen box. But after 2 days later, and after 2 days later on 26th March, you started to write with this pen. So there is a 2 days of difference between taking the pen and started to write with this pen. So today is the date of adaptation or accepted, because we accepted the gift from me. So today is the date of adaptation or enacted. So today is the date of enacted of this pen or adopted of this pen. Similarly, in 1949, 26 November, the Constitution the draft of the Constitution were given to the Constituent Assembly by the drafting committee, and it was accepted or it was enacted. But after 2 months, 26 January 1950, the Constitution of India came into force. That means it came into work. Like after 2 days, on 28 March, you started to write with this pen. That would be the date of the working date or came into force. Clear? So don't be confused. So don't fall into trap of confusion. Be clear, make your concept clear first. Then all will be very clear for you. Then come to the next point. So the Constitution of India was enacted by the Constitutional Assembly in 1940, 26 November. Then the Constitution of India came into force or started working in 1950, 26 January, which was also regarded as the Republic Day because of the Constitution came into force in that particular date. And there are another important information regarding to the Constitution formation. The original version of the Constitution was beautified and decorated by two artists. Number one, Nandlal Bose and Behar Ram Manohar Sinha. So Behar Ram Manohar Sinha and Nandlal Bose were the two main pillars behind the decoration and the beautification of the original version of the Indian Constitution. These are the main important facts behind regarding the formation of the Constitution. Now we are going to study the important features of the Constitution. Means what kind of Constitution India has, what kind of Constitution we have. Number one, the important features of the Constitution is the lengthiest written Constitution. So Indian Constitution is the lengthiest and written Constitution in the world. It was written like the American Constitution, but it is the lengthiest and written Constitution in the world. Number two important features is drawn from various sources. The various provisions of the Indian Constitutions had been drawn from the various countries. So the various provisions of the articles which we study in the Indian Constitution had been drawn from the various sources of the different parts of the world. Like the fundamental rights, which is an important feature of the Constitution, the fundamental idea of fundamental rights had been taken from the Constitution of America. And also the directive principles of state policy, which is also important features of Indian Constitution, had been taken. The idea of directive principles of state policy had been taken from the Irish Constitution. Number three. So Indian Constitution is the various provisions of the rules or articles have been drawn from the various different countries of this world. Number three, blend of rigidity and flexibility. That means the Constitution can be amended or that means any rules or any articles can be amended or reformed or changed if we want it. But at the same time, some important or some basic features or some basic qualities or basic provisions of the Constitution cannot be amended or cannot be changed. That's why the Constitution of India at the same time is called very rigid like this. This is very hard. It is very hard to bend this marker. It is very hard to bend this marker because it is very rigid or tough. Similar way, Indian Constitution at the same time is very rigid and tough. On the other hand, it is also very flexible, like this piece of paper that is very flexible. We can move this piece of paper in any direction we want. So similarly, the Constitution of India on the other hand is very flexible like this piece of paper, and on the other hand it is very tough like this marker. The basic elements or the basic or the primary structure, the primary or the basic provisions or the features of the Constitution cannot be changed by any parties or any ruling parties or any government. So this is the important features. Number 4, federal system. Number 4 important features of the Constitution is the federal system. As you know, in our country, there is an union government or the central government, and also there are state governments in every state. Like there are prime minister and president in the union government, similar way in every state there are chief ministers and council of ministers who run that state, and also the governor who is the representative of the president. This is called the federal structure. This system is called the federal structure. So India has a federal structure. And number 5, integrated and independent judiciary. Another important features of the Indian Constitution is that it has integrated and independent judiciary. That means the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts are not representatives of the Parliament or of the executives. They are independent from the two organs. So the judiciary system is completely independent. There is no relation between the judiciary system and the Parliament and the executive field. And it is very also integrated. The top part of the judiciary system is the Supreme Court, or the top court of India's judiciary system is the Supreme Court, which was situated in Delhi. And there the next level is High Court, and then the lower part of the judiciary system is the subordinate courts or the district courts. Number 6, other important features of the Indian Constitution is the fundamental rights. There are 6 fundamental rights. Fundamental rights means the rights which every citizen of India enjoys, like the right to freedom, right to practice your own religion, right to speech, and right to education, etc. There are 6 fundamental rights which was granted by the Constitution of India to the every citizens of India. No one, no government, no ruling party, no ministers can take away these rights from our way. It is our own rights, and as a citizen of India, we have this power to enjoy these rights. It is a haq. In Hindu we can say it is a haq. Nobody can take this away from us, these rights. And in the Constitution, from the Article 14 to Article 32, these fundamental rights have been discussed. Then come to another important features of Indian Constitution, which is the directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy are the guidelines towards the Indian government, towards the states by the Constitution, for the well-wishers of the Constitution, for the well-being of the Constitution, or well-being of the Indian states. These are the directive principles of state policy are the guidelines towards the government by the Constitution. If any government follow these guidelines mentioned in the Constitution, the government and the people or the citizen of this India or of this country will be benefited, and there should be a welfare state. That means to make a welfare state, these guidelines or the directive principles of state policy had been made by the Constitution. It was not on fundamental rights. There is an important features which many students get trapped into confusion, that what are the basic difference of between the directive principle of state policy and the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are the rights which can be justicable in the court, but the directive principles of state policy are not justicable in the court. They are the guidelines towards the government by the Constitution. If any government follow these guidelines or maintain these guidelines, then the state will be much more well, and the state will be called the really welfare states. Then come to the number 8, fundamental duties. Duties, as you know the word duties, as a child, like in the home, all of you wanted so many things from your parents, as like those wishes or those things are your actual own rights. In return, your parents wanted just one thing, that to study more and to make your future strong and secure good marks in the exam. So as a citizen of India, as we studied earlier, the Constitution had given us some 6 fundamental rights, all the rights that we enjoy as a citizen of India. In return, we also have to maintain some duties. We also have some duties towards our Constitution or towards our country. These are called fundamental duties. Like we have to respect our national anthem, we have to respect our national flag, national song. We have to maintain the unity, integrity of our state, of our country. These are the examples of fundamental duties. Another features of the Indian Constitution is number 9, secular state. That means India, in India, there is no official religion. Indian government or Indian states should not promote any religion. The religion is a personal choice of every individual. there is no official religion in our country. Religion is a personal choice of every citizen, of every individuals. That is the features of a secular state. So our country is secular. There is no any official religion like Pakistan or Bangladesh, which have their own official religion, that is Islam. But our country doesn't have any official religion. All the religions are equal. The government should not promote any religion. All are equal. All religions are equal. It is the personal choice of every individuals. This is the features of a secular state, and our country is also a secular state. Number 10, single citizenship. Another important features of Indian Constitution is that single citizenship. Though we have a federal structure, there is a union government, and in the state there are state government, and there are two government. But in India there is only single citizenship. The citizenship is Indian. But unlike the America has this dual citizenship. That means the people who was citizen of America is at first they are the citizen of America or USA, then also the citizen of particular states in where they live. So these are the main important features of this Indian constitutions, and who are the main person or responsible behind the formation of the constitution. So take care, keep studying, keep learning. See you in my next video.